Hey everybody, Hollywoodpizza here, and today we're going to be playing some Rakdos Midrange. This is a pretty classic deck in the format and in Pioneer as well. For this version, we're specifically doing 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Push. We've got 3 Go for the Throats, 2 Infernal Grasps to kind of help round out some of that hand hate, plus the removal aspect of the deck. We also have 2 Misery Shadows and 4 Bloodtithe Harvesters for some early beatdown and some additional removal in the case of Bloodtithe Harvester. Kroxa is just really good. Just another value card. We can maybe start off with a Thoughtseize and hit a Kroxa if your opponent mulliganed, and before they know it, they're kind of just out of cards. For a 3-drop slot, we have 3 Graveyard Trespassers, 4 Bone Crushers, and 4 Fables. The Fables help kind of smooth the deck out, make some mana off the token, and then you can kind of double up your Bone Crushers or your Trespassers to keep beating your opponent down. Trespasser also doubles up as a graveyard hate card, and that's really phenomenal in the main deck. Same as Misery Shadow. If any creature in play goes to the graveyard, it goes to exile instead, and the Misery Shadow just keeps the beats going. Same as a Trespasser. Bone Crusher is great, of course, because you can play it in the 2-drop slot, essentially as a stomp, and then play it as a 4/3 and kind of start to essentially turn the corner really early in the game and beat your opponent down. For a top end here, we have 3 Shieldreds and 1 Skyship. Shieldred is just really great against a lot of different decks, especially aggro decks. You can start gaining some life back and draining your opponent down, and you can kind of just sit there and just be like the game-ending finisher. On top of that, we have the Skyship, which can go over top of the opponent with flying and kill some things, deal some damage to planeswalkers, deal some damage to creatures, and yeah, just get in for some damage. It's a really big effect for 5 mana. For special lands, we have a couple hives, a couple dens, a castle, and essentially all the other dual lands you'd expect with the Sekenzan and the Takenuma thrown in there as well. For the sideboard, we have 3 Rending Volleys against things like Spirits or any type of Greasefang decks. We have Undurress to help additionally with the Thoughtseize against control decks, anything like that. 2 Epic Downfalls when we know we're going to be playing against mono green. 2 Reckoner Bankbusters against anything we want to outvalue and outcard advantage our opponents in. The Unlicensed Hurts help additionally against decks like Greasefang or any type of graveyard strategy. Same as the Go Blanks, and they kind of just help against control as well, where you can kind of wear down their hand and then just Go Blank them and get rid of all their cards. A couple of Extinction Events against the aggressive decks, things like Red Deck, White Weenie, anything like that. Overall, this is a classic deck in the format, like I stated earlier, and it's still just as good as it's always been. Let's go ahead and jump into some games. Alright. Take a mulligan here. We can keep this hand. This hand's a lot better. Relying a lot on this stomp to be our choice of removal spell. Up against Spirits, it's not a, not the easiest matchup. I'm a little bit upset, obviously, that we put the Infernal Grasp back now. So we're really hoping to resolve this Bloodtithe Harvester. Alright, it's going to hit the battlefield, so that's good. Stomp wouldn't really do anything against the Mausoleum Wanderer. I'm really surprised that they didn't attack. That was kind of weird, right? Kind of a weird play by them. I think they might have just missed that, honestly. Okay, Spirit, sure. Definitely a bit behind here against Spirits. We're just going to try to kill the Mausoleum Wanderer here. They have a Spectral Sailor. Pumps it up. Try to kill this. We can't pay the 2 mana. Yeah, this is just a bit awkward, unfortunately. Kind of just have to resolve this. The Wanderer is definitely making our life pretty hard here. So I'm going to dodge a Flash Spirit, and we didn't. So we're going to take a lot of damage here. Misery Shadow, not really the best card in this matchup, so we're going to get rid of that. And the Swamp. Do they have a response here? Really just looking for any removal spell at this point. Okay, we had a Blood Tithe Harvester. That's fine. Pump this up. We try to stomp. They sacrifice that. I think we just have to play the Blood Tithe. Hey, Blue Robot, coming in hot with the raid. Thanks so much, homie. Really, really appreciate that. And it looks like our Blood Tithe is going to get countered, but that's okay. Yep, just going to pass it back. Hey, thanks so much for the shout out there. Definitely go send some love over to Blue Robot. Great friend of the stream and PizzaBox champion as well. I mean, we're just going to go for something here. Like, if they want to sacrifice their Wanderer, we're pretty happy with that. They just have a Spell Pierce for us, so... Gonna take some damage here. Going down to 6. And that Stomp's just not really gonna do it. They just have flying. We want these Rending Volleys. They're great in this matchup. We mostly just want all of our removal. Fan of Out 3 greater, not what we want. Skyship's too expensive. Shieldred is a little bit too expensive as well. Trespasser's just okay. Croxa's not really the card we care about here, I don't think. Misery Shadow is fine. We cut one of these and then maybe cut down to a Shieldred. We have enough ways to win the game. We just need to kill all their cards. I think that's just really our main game plan. I don't mind the Misery Shadow because it could be like an actually game closing threat. Thanks so much for the shout out, Sayman. Appreciate that. Anybody coming in, Hollywoodpizza. I host 3 tournaments a month. Definitely check them out. There's going to be a link here in the chat. To that, my YouTube, my sponsors. We got Magic Jank. We also have a link for codes so you can get a 10% discount from codes. Definitely helps me in the stream out. And we also have HelloFresh as well as a sponsor, so don't forget to check all that out. Our merchandise as well. Thank you so much, Sayman, for that. I think we keep this pretty decent hand. The question is, do we want to pay the life for the Blood Crypt? I actually don't think so, because we don't have a turn 2 play. Obviously, if we top deck like a turn 2 play, it kind of hurts. Hitting the Gopher Throat doesn't really make a difference there. Alright, they're going for Spectral Sailor. I actually think we pass because we want them to put like a Curious Obsession on it. Alright, just coming in for 1, that's fine. Oh, this is going to be a little bit annoying, obviously, if they have like a Rattle Chains, which they could here. Yep, and they do have the Rattle Chains, so a little bit unfortunate that they did have it there. Could play Fable, just because it's the tempo play. We're still at 19, so we're not that low on life. We can get some redraws off of the second chapter from this. And opponent does have a Curious Obsession, so we're going to go down to 15. They do get a redraw. We do have a Rending Volley, which we can snap off with the Shieldred. I think we can get rid of the Swamp. A bit unfortunate there, but it is what it is. Let's attack here. Hit for damage. If they have a counter, they have a counter anyways, even if we kill the Spectral Sailor. Yeah, not really much we could do about that. I think we just have to try to kill this now. Do they have a slip out the back? They might. Rather do that now than when they just have access to more mana. Alright, we draw a Graveyard Trespasser, which is fine. It's an okay play. We're going to come in for some damage. I think we want the Trespasser to survive because it's a better card than the Fable, so we'd rather run the Fable out into a counterspell. Wow, and our opponent actually just conceded, so they could have just had nothing there. Go blank. Potentially. No, I like all just where we're set up here. We just have so much removal. We can potentially just kill every one of their cards. So tough matchup, but it's definitely doable. We really want some fatal pushes here. Gonna be on the draw. And let's see how our hand shapes up this time. Really hoping to hit something good here. And anybody watching on YouTube, don't forget there's going to be links as well in the description below to our tournaments and the regular content that we do on stream. So definitely check it out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, bell notification, like, leave a comment down below. I'm just going to kill this. I'm not really going to take a chance. We're just going to fatal push it while our opponent is tapped out. Okay, we can't stomp that. But we do get a Blood Tithe Harvester down, which is nice. Obviously, the push would have been better for the Phantom, but in all honesty, let's say that we wait to push and then they had a Spell Pierce, then we're pretty screwed. Curious Obsession's pretty rough, though. They tap out, we can just kill the Supreme Phantom. I think we just go for Fable. If they have a counterspell, they have a counterspell. We can somewhat keep up with damage here with the Blood Tithe Harvester. So let's just do that. Like I said, may have been a little bit of a mistake to snap off that push early, but really just don't want to get blown up by like a Spell Pierce there. They are staying up on cards though, so we're definitely in a little bit of some trouble. And we're just going to try to resolve another Fable here. Okay, they have the Snare. So we're catching up on damage. Of course, if they hit a land, and then have the creature land, they can hit us for a lot. They would be tapping out though, and then we can Extinction Event. Their creatures, okay, Rattle Chain's pretty good here. So might have gotten blown out by that, giving their creature Hexproof as well. Fortunately, going to go down to 8. They get to redraw, so they kind of just have a lot of cards now. We hit another Stomp, so not hitting a second land has definitely hurt us. Or excuse me, our fourth land has definitely hurt us. We're not able to cast this Extinction Event. Let's see, we're at 8. I think we just pass, try to block the creature land, and maybe stomp on the Rattle Chains if we can possibly do that. Yep, just going to try to do this now. Alright, so the stomp does go through. We don't just want to crack the blood yet, I don't think. Let's take this. Mostly because we can kill one of their creatures. I mean, we're just in a really bad spot here. Hey, Nogrul, have a great night, man. Really appreciate you hanging out always. Yeah. We kind of just had a little bit like an awkward third game there, really. I really think that this matchup is 50-50. It's not always going to be as, like, one-sided as a lot of people think for Rakdos, so let's go and see how our next match goes with this deck. Alright, looks like we're going to be on the draw for this match. Let's hope we can get a pretty decent opener and see what our opponent's up to. Alright, and we can definitely keep this. We've got Thoughtseize, some removal spells. Looks like we're up against the red deck. Kumano's coming down. Yeah, Spirits does soak up a lot of removal as well. Oh, whoops, we needed to play Black Source there. Got a little bit distracted there. I do apologize for that. Really big misplay there. Sorry about that. Alright, let's go ahead and pass the turn here. And it looks like they're just going to go for the burn spell. Fortunately, our removal spells aren't the greatest. We might be able to kind of sequence here a little bit better to the point where we can save ourselves some damage. So let's go ahead and just push this here. We can Thoughtseize with the Infernal Grasp. That is a lot of damage to us. So maybe better just to play the Fable because it's a blocker. Ooh, Ferocidon, definitely not the card we want to see. I think we're going to take some damage. And potentially take some cards that our opponent could play here that could deal us a lot. Yeah, we'll take that Torben for sure. Yep, they do land, so they're probably just going to play Bone Crusher here, I would imagine. Yep. And we hit a Graveyard Trespasser, which is actually pretty decent. Let's eat their Torben. Pass the turn back. And let's see if we can kind of get something else going here. Okay, Lightning Strike, unfortunately on the Graveyard Trespasser. Does get rid of both of their cards, but we lose a really good blocker here. Blocker slash attacker. So let's go and get the Fable down. We have 2 lands we're going to get rid of. We probably just block this Bone Crusher to save ourselves some life here, so that way the opponent doesn't get closer to killing us. And here comes the Bone Crusher. Yep, gonna block that. And they just have a land. So we draw a Thoughtseize, so we get rid of that. And the Blood Crypt. These 2 cards we don't really care about. We hit our own Bone Crusher, which is fine. Let's stomp our opponent. Then play this Bone Crusher. We might take 2 off the land. But we know that we can trade Bone Crushers and then we're left with a Fable after all of this happening. Which I don't really think is that bad. We're still at an okay amount of life. To the point where we're not just going to die to 1 card maybe. Unless of course if they draw like an Embercleave then we're kind of just dead there. But and we actually top deck a Shieldred, which is fantastic here. So let's get that Shieldred down and essentially keep all of the pressure on our opponent here as well. So, yep, they can still use that Raminap Ruins, but it looks like our opponent's going to concede because they kind of ran out of gas and we hit all the cards that we needed. So, up against Red Deck, we want to bring in this Abrade. The Epic Downfall could be good. We know they play Bone Crusher, Torbens, and Rampaging Ferocidons. Maybe even some Annexes, so we want to bring those in. Extinction Event's not bad either. Skyship just a little bit expensive here in this matchup. I also think that the Crocs is not really necessary. We get rid of all 4 Thoughtseize, and we can maybe bring another card back in, which could be the Croxa. But taking a turn off for Croxa is kind of rough. Bankbuster is an option. Hey, what's up, King? How's it going? Hope you're doing good. Stream's going really good. We're having a lot of fun tonight. Play a little bit of the old Malice deck that we were playing the other day. Didn't do so good. But then we did really good with a really awesome deck. We played Ishin plus Mishra. So do we just want the Bankbuster because it could be a good blocker? Like, that is an option. I think I like the Bankbuster more than like the Skyship because it's like an expensive card, right? Like, we know we can just cast Bankbuster on 2 and then any 3-drop like a Bone Crusher or a Graveyard Trespasser can actually crew it to block, so... And this is a really, really great hand. You know, we're going to be able to have our Fatal Push on turn 1 off of the pathway. We can cast the Bankbuster on turn 2. And then have like an Abrade up or maybe like a Bankbuster draw. So if our opponent has like a Rob of the Rich. Eidolon, still a card we want to kill here. We want to resolve this Bankbuster even if it does cost us a couple more life points. Let's go ahead and get this down, and then now this Blood Crypt can activate our Castle Locthwain. And, okay, Ferocidon coming down. We have an Abrade for that, so we're going to put this tapped. We'll pass the turn back to our opponent because we kind of want them to play a creature and take some damage for us. If they just attack with this, then that's fine too. We're just going to Abrade it. And we also have an Extinction Event here in case the game gets a little bit out of control. I think we're still going to try to resolve this Shieldred, even if they may have a removal spell for it. Let's say they just pass and they probably do have a kill spell. Okay, Kumanos and maybe another 2-drop. No 2-drop yet. We can cast this castle. We'll play a Shieldred and pass a turn. That way we can use the Shieldred to crew the Bankbuster if it comes down to that. And let's see what our opponent has here. 4 cards, quite a bit. They're going to lose 2 life, so we know that they might not have a removal unless they drew one for their turn, considering that the trigger did resolve. And Eidolon coming down here as a 3/3, not bad. But we still have a Shieldred that's going to start gaining us some life. And we're just going to play this pathway on black. We'll get a Fable down. Even if it does cost us a couple life points, we actually have more life anyways by drawing off the Bank Buster, which we're just going to pass here. We kind of just have what we need to set up to essentially end up winning the game. We have a board wipe if things get a little bit out of control. But right now, we're mostly just going to gain some life and draw some cards off this Bank Buster. And then eventually, inevitability will set in. So, yep. Able to take down that red deck wins match. Let's see how our next match goes. Going to be on the draw. Playing some more Rakdos. This hand on the draw is a bit weak. I think we want a mulligan. This hand's a lot better. Could put the Trespasser back. I'd rather keep the removal spells. We don't know what we're up against. Okay, so we're up against Devotion, it looks like. Let's Thoughtseize to get rid of their turn 2 play. We can't really get rid of this Underworld Dreams. We can kill the Yawgmoth eventually. I think we just get rid of this push, because it means that our Blood Tithe Harvester is going to survive, potentially. Ooh, they top deck their own Thoughtseize, so they could get rid of our Blood Tithe Harvester now. And then we're really looking for our 3rd land for Bone Crusher, but it looks like they just take the Fable. Just hoping that we got to keep the Fable, but that's okay. I think we just play Blood Tithe. Let's get a threat on the battlefield. If they top deck the land, which it doesn't look like they did. Yep, we're in pretty good shape now. Okay, Swamp and another Warlock class. We top deck the land. So we'll actually just play Bone Crusher here as a creature, because we're really putting the pressure on our opponent to have to deal with it. Like, they can't just tap out for Underworld Dreams because it's not really doing anything. And then we have a backup Thoughtseize to get rid of. Wow, they do end up playing the Underworld Dreams. We're completely fine with that. We'll take a point of damage. We'll take 2 more from this Thoughtseize, but we're fine with that. Yep, definitely going to take the Gix here. Hit our opponent for 7. Pretty much putting our opponent on a 1-turn clock here. Let's cast this castle, pass turn back. Could have cracked the blood to maybe dig, but I think it's okay, because if we draw land, we have lethal with the Den of the Bugbear. Okay, they're just going to level this up. If they don't play anything, we may want to get rid of this Fatal Push to try to dig for hitting this Den and lethal. Opponent may have drawn another land, though, and they actually didn't, so we'll take this first game down against Mono Black Devotion. Against their deck, the rest seems like it would be okay, but I'd rather just keep the 4 Thoughtseize, I think, a little bit better. Let's bring in these Epic Downfalls, because we know they probably play some pretty decent 3-drops. Skyship is a good card, and it is hard for them to deal with unless they have the Murderous Rider. Crocs is okay because it's a value card. I like Bone Crusher as a value card as well. Maybe we get rid of Skyship because it's a little bit expensive. And Crocs is okay. The Misery Shadow, we can probably get rid of that too. Would we rather play the Bank Buster maybe? I kind of like this a little bit more. We know Stomp doesn't hit a lot of their 3 toughness creatures. A lot of the time we're just going to be playing as a 3-mana 4/3, which is fine. But I don't really think we want to keep it in for this matchup. I'd rather have the Bank Busters because we know the game can go a lot longer. and we have just, a better grind than our opponent. And this hand's just great. I mean, we can Fatal Push Bankbuster into Trespasser, crew the Bankbuster swing, and then start to come in for a lot. And yeah, I mean, our opponent didn't even really want to finish that match, so able to take another one down. Let's see how the rest go. Pizza people, are you enjoying the content? Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit that bell icon as well. That way, anytime any of our new content comes out, you're able to see it right away. Hey, leave a comment down below as well. Tell us what you're going to play in the next event, or tell us what you're enjoying about the video. Don't forget, check out the description too. We've got tons of great content down below. And on top of that, we're going to have our tournament schedule too. So get in on it. Hope to see you. Looking for the latest comic book to add to your collection? How about the last card for that Magic the Gathering Commander deck? Well, the comic book store's got you covered. Shop online at comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com or come in person at 30 North Main Street, Glassboro, New Jersey.
This video is brought to you by MagicJank.com, the spiciest cards for your sauciest decks. Buy and sell Magic the Gathering products and gear today on MagicJank.com.
Coming in with some more Rakdos Midrange, going to be on the play for this match. And yeah, this is definitely a keeper. Great hand. Start off with this Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Probably play this as a red source unless we top deck like a dual land or anything like that. To hold up the Stomp, so push into Stomp. Maybe even this Misery Shadow on turn 2 is just like a great curve out play. Then maybe even hit the Bone Crusher. Yeah, and it looks like we're up against a Spirit deck, and they have Mausoleum Wanderer to start, so yeah, we definitely want to Fatal Push this. And then we can play the Misery Shadow on turn 2. I don't necessarily want to play the Takenuma, just because I feel a lot more comfortable saving it later in the game, knowing that they could counter one of our bigger spells. Like, let's say we want to try to resolve the Shieldred. Alright, so yeah, we play this as a red source. Let's go and get this Misery Shadow down. And then we have this Haunted Ridge. Now Misery Shadow is just going to be a great clock. We're going to come in for damage. They have a bounce spell, we just replay it, and then we can play Shieldred maybe next turn. Or a Bloodtithe Harvester plus a Stomp. So let's come in for damage. Doesn't look like they're going to do any blocks. We'll pump it up to deal our opponent an extra point of damage. Yep, just going to pump it up here. Deal our opponent 3. And do they have a response? Okay. So we're hoping to see a Rattle Chains or something like that here. And they just have Brazen Borrower. Interesting. Yep, just going to pass. We can try to stomp something here. Yep, I think that's fine. I'd rather they counter the Bloodtithe Harvester because Misery Shadow is just a better threat overall. It's a good mana sink and can, deal a lot of damage. It's a card that they're going to have a hard time blocking overall. And it actually resolves. So, I mean, at this point, I'd rather just hold up my instant spells, knowing that they could just probably flash in some creatures here. Which is usually what they're going to do. Yeah, I mean, we'll pass. We have a 3-2. It's a pretty good body. A decent clock. And it looks like they just have a Brazen Borrower, and that's definitely going to get stomped here. No chance that stays out. Now if we top deck a land, we can try to cast the Bone Crusher plus hold up a Go for the Throat. Or maybe even still just Misery Shadow plus Go for the Throat, still like a fine play. Opponent has a lot of cards, but we want to play a little bit more like this instant speed type game against them. This Go for the Throat's going to be really, really great. We do top deck the land. I think we're just coming in for 3. Trying to cast this Bone Crusher. They know about the Shadow as well. Yeah, let's go for the Bone Crusher. If they have a counterspell, we just go for the Throat on the Phantom. And then if we top deck a land, we go for the Shadow plus Shieldred. So yeah, there's the Snare. We're just going to kill the Phantom. And pass turn back. So definitely a little bit awkward for our opponent. Having the Blood Tithe also means they can't really have like 1 or 2 toughness creatures on the battlefield. Okay, Shacklegeist is fine. That can't block our Blood Tithe Harvester. They need another Spirit to be able to use the ability as well. Okay, Supreme Phantom means that we are going to be able to resolve the Shieldred potentially. Don't really think they have any 1 mana counter spells unless they have like an enchantment on the battlefield, and they don't. They're going to tap the Blood Tithe Harvester on my upkeep. That's fine. Okay with that. We draw another Blood Tithe. I think I'm just going to go for Shieldred because it's just such a power play here. You know, our opponent's deck likes to draw extra cards, and Shieldred is definitely going to be able to punish them for that. On top of that, they don't have a clean answer for the Shieldred. They kind of just have to keep tapping it down, or maybe even bouncing it. If they tap it down, then Blood Tithe Harvesters are going to start to come in. And our opponent's getting a little bit aggressive here, coming in for 3 with the Shacklegeist, which means that they could end up having like a backup Spirit to tap one of our cards down here. Yep, going to take the 3. We hit a castle, that's fine. I think we almost want to ditch the castle though. To the blood token. Do they have a bounce spell here? Would be interesting. I don't really think they have a way to block the Shieldred efficiently. 2 cards in hand. We're coming in for 4. Like, we're just beating down for 4 here. Do they have a way to stop it? Like I said, a bounce spell, we just replay it. Not a big deal. And yeah, I'm going to try to resolve the second Blood Tithe Harvester here to kill the Supreme Phantom. If they just have like a pay 3, we can pay for it. They got to have 2 counter spells at this point to kind of stop it. And yeah, we're just going to try to kill the Phantom here. They could have a protection spell. Okay, Rattle Chains is fine. They get to protect it. We knew they were going to have that or like a counter spell. That's fine. I can tap that down. Sure, let's play the Shadow. Probably resolves now. And they got 1 card left. And it is a Geistlight Snare, so either way, they still had the Snare. They're going to lose 2 life. They go down to 6. We can gain a lot of life off of these blood tokens as well. So our opponent has to decide whether or not they want to attack us or tap our creatures down. They have to tap the Blood Tithe Harvester down. But they can't take 4 damage from the Shieldred. So I think that they may just be sealing their fate here. Alright. Okay, they're going to tap the Shieldred. That's fine. We'll just activate our creature land. And come in for lethal. Exile the Supreme Phantom and just deal our opponent 6 damage here. No reason to even use the blood token there to distract us. So we want all the Rending Volleys. We want to bring in all of our removal again against this deck. We'll just cut the Skyship. We can cut a Shieldred because we know it's a little bit more of like an expensive card. Trespasser isn't the greatest in this matchup. Neither is Akroxa. We might want an Extinction Event or 2 against them, or we want like our cheaper cards. Because we know Bank Buster's going to come down. We can bring in the Duress. Maybe we get rid of the Trespasser and just bring in all of our removal. Maybe even cut a Misery Shadow here. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Always a cheesy time here. I think I'm okay with this. We really just want all of our interactive spells. I really could see cards like Go Blank or something, but I mean, like, let's say that they get their Curious Obsession down, then we're definitely going to be in some trouble, you know? Alright, let's hope for a good draw here. We're going to be on the draw. Let's see what our opponent's cooking up, and what we're cooking up as well. Hopefully a Supreme Pizza of a hand. Do appreciate everybody who's hanging out right now. Don't forget we host 3 tournaments a month. All are free to play. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube as well. And my sponsorships, we actually have a code where you can get 10% off of codes. I think we keep this. This hand's great. If they play Wanderer, we just push it. And anybody's watching on YouTube, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, bell notification, like, leave a comment down below. Would be greatly appreciated. You can find links to the tournaments and all my content down below in the description. So definitely check it out. Let's go and get a Thoughtseize here to take a look at what our opponent's doing. And yeah, I actually think we take Spirit, because if they just tap out for Supreme Phantom, we just kill it. So they may not tap out for the Supreme Phantom. Like, if they do, it's pretty sketchy. I actually think we'll pay 2 life for this because we want to push. Plus use this Rending Volley, then follow that up with the Bone Crusher. As just a 4/3 body that's going to be able to beat down. So let's hope that they play their land, go for a Supreme Phantom, and then we just have 2 removal spells to kill it. And then we still have a backup removal spell with a Blood Tithe Harvester that, you know, Blood Tithe can kind of snipe almost everything anyways. Do they maybe tap out for the Curious Obsession? If they do, we're really happy about that. They may be thinking about maybe like another Ascendant Spirit that they could have. We know the stop is the Slip Out the Backs at least. We don't know what the rest of their hand is structured like, though. And we're just going to go for the Fatal Push. And then the Rending Volley to get rid of this Supreme Phantom. Yep. Just going to leave our opponent without a creature. They may have some backup creatures. This Fable's pretty good. It gives us mana. I think I like the Fable more because it's just such a high value card. The Bone Crusher can maybe finish the game a lot sooner. And on top of that, if they like bounce it, they're going to take damage. The token they bounce, they don't really, you know, lose any value from that. I kind of like my hand. We can maybe get rid of the Takenuma because we would hope that the Goblin Shaman makes a land for us. Yeah, I think we're fine. Let's go to combat. Come in for 2 damage, we get a treasure. Let's see what we got going on here. Alright, opponent. Yep, gonna hit for damage. I really don't think that they have a bounce spell. If they do, that's fine. And I think we just try to go for Blood Tithe Harvester here. If they counter that, then we can play the Bone Crusher off of the Takenuma that we have in hand, and then kind of just have 2 decent threats with a Fable the Mirror Breaker that we know is going to flip over. Okay, Spectral Sailor. That's fine. And then maybe Geistlight Snare here. And then we can just stomp. So they kind of just lose some of their protection. Obviously, we can't pay for the Geistlight Snare, but that was kind of just like all in our game plan anyways, because we wanted to bait out that counterspell from them to be able to kill their last creature that they have out. Like, they can play a land and maybe make this into a creature land, but we know that we have the Go for the Throat. I mean, this Thoughtseize is a little bit of like some icing on the cake for us here a little bit. Just because we're going to be able to see their hand and see what they're doing. Could have a Brazen here, but we know that we can just replay the Fable for some value and get another token that generates even more mana. And then if we draw like creature lands, we have something for all that mana to sink into. So let's go on Thoughtseize here, see what our opponent has, and then cast this Bone Crusher. And our opponent's going to pack it up, able to take down this match.